Also breaking tonight, new allegations of a cover-up by the Obama administration and a White House lie. Welcome to the Kelly File. I'm Megyn Kelly. That's the allegation. Flashback now to April 2012. President Obama was up for re-election. He's headed to Colombia for an economic summit, and no sooner does he arrive than a scandal explodes. A group of Secret Service agents accused of bringing prostitutes back to their hotel for parties that involved a lot of alcohol and then some. One big question at the time: was it just the Secret Service, or were White House staffers also involved? Here is our Ed Henry and White House Press Secretary Jay Carney just 10 days after the scandal broke. Watch.
Last thing on Colombia, did the White House counsel check the hotel records down in Colombia to see if any White House advance or White House staff had
I'm not going to get into the specifics. I would simply say that the review that the White House counsel oversaw and led produced no indication of any misconduct.
I'm just saying, did they check
records? Because there has been no specific allegation of misconduct. And again, I'm not going to get into all the details of the review, except to say that...
Yes, they did, and there was nothing there.
I'm not, because I am not going to describe every aspect of this review. I will simply say that the review has been conducted. There is no indication of any misconduct by any member of the White House advance team.
Really? No indication. There's no indication that any member of the White House advance team engaged in any improper conduct or behavior. Well, tonight we know that was not true. There was an indication that a member of the White House advance team engaged in improper behavior. The Secret Service has told the White House as much. In fact, there was evidence. There wasn't just an indication. There was evidence, including a hotel log, that a White House aide, who happened to be the son of a big Democratic donor, had invited a hooker into his hotel room in the very hotel where President Obama would be staying. 10 Secret Service agents would lose their jobs over similar allegations. That son of a Democratic donor got a promotion after Jay Carney told us there's no indication that anyone on the White House advance team engaged in any misconduct. What's more, a whistleblower on the team investigating the scandal now says, and I quote, "We were directed at the time to delay the report of the investigation until after the 2012 election." And the woman who appears to have known all of this, the one who the Secret Service went to with the information about this White House staffer, the one who apparently concluded there was no there, a lawyer by the name of Catherine Rumler, mentioned in recent weeks as a possible candidate for Eric Holder's replacement as Attorney General of the United States, a position that, believe it or not, is supposed to be non-political. Joining me now, Fox News Chief White House Correspondent Ed Henry. Ed?
Man, good to see you. The bottom line is this is not about Jonathan Dach, as you say, you know, an alleged mistake by this 20-something who was working at the White House. It's about candor and credibility at the White House. And Jay Carney in that clip was directly ducking that question as to whether or not Catherine Rumler, who was the White House counsel at the time, investigated this thoroughly. Did she look through the hotel records of the White House aides on the trip, which is what the Secret Service had done to them, and they got caught, 10 of them or so, as you say. Now, the bottom line is they may have gotten it and kicked the can down the road, but now if Catherine Rumler is nominated, she's on the short list, Republicans are promising they will demand documents, all the documents from Catherine Rumler's investigation during her nomination hearings. The other thing to watch is everyone in town right now is privately talking about how it appears it was clearly the Secret Service officials there upset about all of this and what they perceive to be a double standard that leaked out this information. What else do they know? Because I spoke to a union chief for Secret Service officers today who said there is a double standard. Listen.
We represented the men from the Secret Service who were ultimately removed from their jobs. And considering the fact that we're talking about people who put their lives on the line, it's pretty damn disconcerting to me to think that there is an allegation out there that suggests that somebody working for the White House might have received preferential treatment while those who risked their lives did not.
Now, White House officials today insisted there was no preferential treatment and there was no cover-up. You mentioned Jonathan Dach now working at the State Department. What he's focusing on, we're told, is global women's issues. Megan?
Really?
I thought you might say that.
I'm just going to resist the urge to make that joke. Ed, thank you. Joining me now for more, Mark Thiessen, the former chief speechwriter for President George W. Bush and a fellow at the American Enterprise Institute. And so I don't know what this guy Dach did or didn't do. What I do know is that the White House looked at Ed Henry and said there's no indication of any misconduct by any member of the White House advance team. Now, that's not true. He could have said, there was an indication, we investigated it, we satisfied ourselves that it's not true. Okay. That's not what he said. He repeatedly said, no indication. It's once again, how did President Obama say? Not a scintilla when he was talking to O'Reilly? What was it?
Not a smidgen.
Not a smidgen. Once again.
Not a smidgen of evidence.
Not a smidgen. Not an indication, Mark.
Yeah, not an indication. Look, on Friday, April 20th, the director of the Secret Service came to the White House counsel's office and told her that there was evidence that his investigators had uncovered that this individual had brought a prostitute to his hotel, specifically the name of the hotel, after midnight on April 4th. And he further told her that he had checked it with agents on the ground who corroborated the story. So that is specific and credible. The next, on Monday...
And just let me jump in, because the allegations, as we know them, according to the Washington Post, which broke this story, is there was a Secret Service agent that claims to have seen this young man with a woman who appeared to be a prostitute on the night in question, and his hotel log at his hotel showed a woman believed to be a prostitute signing in to go visit his room around midnight that night. Now, his name isn't on the log. His lawyer says it's not true. His lawyer says there's no direct proof proving she went into his room, and it may have been a mistaken log, and that may all be true. But you can't say there was no indication of any White House involvement during an election year in which later now we know that the Inspector General, somebody in the agency, came out and said, we were being told to shut this up.
Exactly. And so the director of the Secret Service comes in and presents that information to the White House counsel on Friday. On Monday, the 23rd, 3 days later, Jay Carney comes out and says there have been no specific credible allegations of misconduct by anyone on the White House advance team. That is flat false. There were specific credible allegations, unless you say the director of the Secret Service is not a credible source.
Well, the reason they didn't conclude that this was credible, apparently, is because Mr. Dach denied it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
what do they expect him to do? I'm not saying he's guilty. Maybe he did nothing. But that can't be the alpha and omega of the investigation. You've got a hotel log. You've got a Secret Service agent saying he saw it with his own eyes. And we know that there are a bunch of prostitutes going into this hotel and servicing members of the administration because 10 guys got fired for doing that. Mr. Dach says it's not true, so that's the end of it?
No, that's exactly right. And the allegations were presented to the White House on Friday. By Monday, Jay Carney was dismissing them. So they did a thorough investigation in 3 days over the weekend and cleared this guy thoroughly in an international
what
investigation.
Was going on?
It's absurd.
Tell us the truth. What happened here, in your view?
In my view, there's a culture of deception at the White House. I mean, this is just par for the course. If you think about it, think about the things that they have told us in recent years. They have told us that no one in the White House edited the Benghazi talking points. No one in America is going to lose their health plan. Not a smidgen of corruption at the IRS, and now no specific credible allegations. Every one of those statements was knowingly untrue. Now, one time, maybe that's a mistake. Twice, that's troubling. 3, 4, 5 statements like that, that is a pattern. There is a culture in the White House that encourages and condones deception of the American people when they think that the president is in danger.
Must everything be political? Must everything be political? I mean, they fire 10 Secret Service agents, but this guy gets a promotion. He's the son of a Democratic donor, and then they don't even have the decency to be straight with us about what the allegations were and what they did to investigate them and why they concluded this was nothing.
And what they're doing in the long run, Megan, is they're harming the president. And the president is harming himself because he's participated in all these things. Because what happens is, look, the Obama administration is in free fall right now. And its approval ratings are plummeting. And part of the problem is that people don't trust the president. If you're the president of the United States and you want to convince people about your policies to listen to you, they have to first believe that you're telling the truth. Fox News poll earlier this year showed that 84% of Americans believe that the president lies at least from time to time time on important matters. 84% of the American people think the president lies about important matters. How are you going to set your administration straight? So when something like this comes up, it's just one more piece of information that people put in their pocket and say, this guy is not honest.
There'll be much more on this in the coming days. Mark, thank you.
Thanks, Megan.